We're calling to order the meeting of the Sycamore Township Board of Zoning Appeal. Roll call.
Ms. Blugers,
Here.
Tonight,
Here.
Hughes,
Here.
Idle, here, Schwartz,
Present.
Schultz, present.
Let's have pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is minutes, and we're going to defer that till next month.
Yes, sir, please.
Okay. Next is swearing in of anybody who's going to give testimony. If you're going to talk at this meeting, I need you to be sworn in. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, next. Old business. We have none.
None tonight, sir.
New business. The way this works is we're going to, first of all, this is your request is for a variance, and a variance is an official permit to do something normally forbidden by regulations, but it can't be self-created, and there has to be, you have to demonstrate a hardship, that there is something that is not your fault that is the hardship for us to consider approving it. Okay, so let's start with SYCB 220002.
Address 3796 Linden Center Court. Request is for a variance. Applicant is Gabrielle Moore. Parcel pen is 060002330010. Current zoning is B, single family residential. Zoning compliance issues, section 10-7.1, height and open face area and front and side yard. Requirement is no fence or wall shall be located in any defined front yard. Request is to allow for construction of a 4 feet tall fence to encroach 10 feet into the defined front yard or corner lot. I always like to start showing you what the parcel is of the home on Linden Center. You see there, it's on the corner of Eldora and Linden Center, where Larchview also comes into Eldora there. This here shows in the blue is where she would like to put the fence in. You can see where the fence kind of comes out 10 feet into the front yard. You see the red line it goes across that shows actually where they could have the fence as of right. She wants to come out 10 feet off that line into the front yard.
What's the difference between the two lines?
10 feet.
Sorry for interrupting.
So the red line is what is permitted by right,
Right.
Yes,
and then the blue is where the applicant is proposing the fence to go.
okay,
And there's 10 feet in between them.
in between,
Yep.
okay. It's not scaled, so.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I didn't put that. I'm sorry. This is a picture that they gave us to show exactly what the fence would look like. If approval is given tonight, how it would look, how it will butt up against the fence that is actually there already. How it will go all the way around the backyard. This is just a shot of the front of the house from Eldora. That gives you a shot of the rear yard that they would like to put the fence that encroaches 10 feet into the front yard. And then I gave one from the side to show you basically from the side to show you exactly where the fence would go. Yeah, that's what I have. You have any questions for us?
And it's all 6 foot
No, it's a 4-foot fence. Yeah, 4 foot. That's it.
So there is some history on this that I think needs to be said. The applicant was previously in here requesting a 6-foot fence in the front yard, this same yard. But the proposal was for a 6-foot fence that would go all the way out to the property line. That was denied with comments that she received from this board being that this was too much of an encroachment and would essentially look like a fort. So the applicant is still seeking an opportunity to utilize their yard with essentially a compromise or reduced request. That this is substantial enough to come back in front of the board with. So instead of a total encroachment of the front yard, she's now only seeking a 10-foot encroachment. Instead of a 6-foot privacy fence, they now have a 4-foot Kentucky 3-board.
Okay.
So I think the original comments from this board were kind of taken to heart in this new application.
Questions of the board?
Go back to
I have
the
none.
area.
Okay.
I think your letter's very, very complete. Your application.
Okay, would you like to come up and,
Here.
Yep.
Yep.
Wonderful, thank you. So hello, I'm Gabrielle. I've been a resident at the property. This will be my 5th year there as the property owner. We did this in 2017 and the ask was different. So hoping for a different outcome, a different reason for some of what I'm asking for. But the physical or unique situation that I'm asking for a variance for is that I'm on a corner lot that is particularly narrow. The fence that you see that is it's an L-shaped privacy fence. So that is not something I put up. It existed when I bought the property. So that was maybe grandfathered in before the variance. But to be able to erect a fence in the way that the township guideline reads would require that I dismantle that privacy fence. That privacy fence blocks my back porch, my back door, my windows to my den from a pretty busy intersection there at Eldora and Larchview. So I am requesting to just connect the Kentucky board fence that will be see-through. You know, I won't be able to do anything in my backyard that you can't see, so it's not a privacy fence. I'll have professionally installed. My neighbor's here. I'm going to tie into his fence, so it'll be consistent with the aesthetics of the neighborhood. It will be well done. I hope you guys enjoy my Photoshop skills. I have, I just pruned my my burning bushes, so they look pretty rough now, but that's what they look like when they're doing well. So they're coming back, and even that Kentucky board fence that isn't going to make it look like a compound, it will still be a good 20 feet behind mature burning bushes that almost create, you know, a visible barrier from the road anyway when they're doing well. So it will be behind well done landscaping, and the fence will be professionally done, consistent with what the rest of the neighborhood looks like. I don't believe that this encroaches on my neighbors' rights or, you know, what they see out of their window and back door. I understand the reason for the variance. We don't live in, you know, a city where there's chain link fences in front yards. I love that about the neighborhood. I am the type of person you want in this township. I agree with it. I take care of my property and my yard. So I understand it. And I'm putting it still a good chunk back from the road. So if ever, you know, they're redoing power lines, they're redoing the road, anything that Sycamore Township does for the area, my fence won't be right up on the property line, creating an issue. So I'm hoping that alleviates creating a burden on my neighbors, creating a burden on the township, but still allows me to fence in and have a usable yard. I think that's it. I think that's all I got. Yeah.
I'm sorry, when Ted started this discussion, you talked about hardship.
Yes.
to be able to do this? I'm not sure I've heard you say that there's any kind of hardship.
Yeah, so I wanted to stick to the physical unique situation that I did not create. That is, my corner lot is especially narrow. I bought the property. My address is Linden Center, which technically would make my backyard the area in blue. But because I just happen to be the house that is on the street, my backyard is considered a front yard. I can't change the township calls any property that touches a roadway, a corner lot, and any of that front yard. The hardship and why I'm asking for the fence, it is, I didn't think that maybe this wouldn't be the most effective way to ask for it, but I want the ability to enjoy my backyard. And if there's a kid or a dog in it, it doesn't run out into Eldora. I'm right next to Ronald Reagan. I would love to be able to use my yard and have that space and be mine, but it's not really usable yard. I walk off my grass into the road. So there is no, defined space that is the yard that I can enjoy. So protection, the ability to, maintain my property lines, and just to be able to use, have a usable space for my backyard. That's part of the hardship.
The second part of my question is, why are you insisting on not putting the fence in a compliant fashion?
So that has to do with dismantling the existing L-shaped privacy fence. So if you can go back to the picture that shows the privacy fence best, please. So if you see in this picture, the privacy fence that we're facing, there's a privacy fence, the L, the bottom of the L that goes back. I would have to pull that down and then start a fence in the middle of it. Or I could take the whole fence down, and now my back door, my back porch, when I'm grilling, when I'm out there doing anything, walking my dog at, 6 o'clock in the morning before I go to work, that's all right in the middle of Eldora and Larchview traffic. So although it's maybe not consistent with the guidelines, the way they're written now, I like that grandfathered in privacy fence. It offers me privacy to my backyard, and I want to keep it. I'm hoping that by only connecting to that, I'm not encroaching too much further. I'd love to be able to fence the whole yard to those burning bushes and have that as a usable space, but I recognize that's just not the guidelines. It's not the town I'm in. It's not the house I have. I'm hoping that this is a fair middle step.
So what I'm hearing here is I think you can make an argument that this is not a self-created hardship, because the configuration of this lot being a corner lot, the question is this an atypical corner lot in the sense that it's narrower than what we would see now? It being an older subdivision, it's certainly a smaller lot than what we see nowadays, and you do tend to see corner lots being more square than this narrow long configuration. So is it the strongest hardship I've ever seen? No, but I can certainly make an argument for a hardship here. I would be comfortable with that.
The bushes. Are you putting new bushes in?
No, they've grown probably 10 years unchecked. So they were 15 feet last year, and I cut them down to like 3. And they're coming back. They'll be just fine, but they needed a haircut for a while.
What about, it looks like there's nothing at the one end.
So
They look like they're going downhill too.
Yeah, you are spot on. Believe it or not, both ends of my property at some point, my neighbors told me this, have been hit by cars coming out of Larchview. So we want to talk safety. There's part of my argument, but so the bushes at the end have been taken out by a car. My crepe myrtle on the other end at the corner of Larchview has also been hit by a car. So those were replacement. They're probably a good 5 years behind any of the other ones.
Okay, so there are bushes that,
Yeah,
okay.
they're just really small.
Okay, well, I think that anytime, even though they're not right up on the fence,
Mhm.
I still consider that buffering.
Yeah, sure.
And, buffering is, helps with my decision. I look at it and I said, yeah, we'll grant that, but we should have buffering. But even all the way out, it's the same thing. It's still buffering.
Yes, and I'll plant as many bushes and trees as you want in front of that fence.
No, I just wanted to make sure that whatever we're seeing is gonna grow.
Yes, it will. I am vested in that, in making them come back to what that Photoshop looks like.
Is this street coming off to the east here? Is that Larchview? Yeah. So is that where the
Yeah, if
the
you're
car came
looking,
across the road? And-
yeah.
Okay.
So there's like two bushes that are brand new because the car came straight into the yard.
Are you still planning on putting chicken wire in between the horizontal slabs?
So I want to do that just to get animals out. So yes, but again, professionally done. I tried to depict that in my drawing, but it's all done flat. It's if you've got a board, the chicken wire goes here, another board goes over. So no one will see that from the outside. It's only from the inside. Or if you were to try and get through the fence, you'd see that there's black chicken wire, but. And maybe chicken wire is not the right word for it, but.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not
usually
really-
chicken wire in 20
Well,
years.
It's usually a fiber mesh.
It's gonna be professionally done, whatever is typical with like normal fence installations,
Okay.
similar
It's not
to,
really checked.
I'll use the same company my neighbor Brian has used. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we require that mesh material like when somebody has a pool in their backyard. So
Yeah, same as.
that's a typical material for a fence.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Sorry about that.
Are there any more questions of the applicant?
I have none.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak?
I'm Brian Bowling. I live next door to Gabrielle. I was the one that has the fence that she would tie into. So with it, one of the reasons that I was getting my fence was liability for all the animals that come in. So there's lots of deer and the animals that are running around. But you mentioned it later, but the liability with the traffic or the people walking around at night or early in the morning, I think that would just help with creating that barrier that keeps her safe and her animals safe as well. So that was what I wanted to point out, was that liability issue, but you get on that later. But yeah, the fence has that mesh wiring. Can't really tell unless you're right up on it. So it's see through. And I've gotten a lot of compliments on my fence in the past couple of years, so it will please the eyes and be aesthetically pleasing.
Okay. Does anybody have a question?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to speak? All right, we're going to close it from the public, and the board will now debate this and decide. This is in the lines of what we've approved in the past, and I like the fact that she is voluntarily put buffering in. You know, that minimizes the whole thing. But you know, we've done this. In fact, probably if they put a little awning off the side of the building, it'd probably be not have to come here. So,
I appreciate the aesthetics of the Kentucky 3 rail
yes.
as opposed to a privacy
Oh,
fence.
yeah.
I don't have a problem with it at all. Everything I've seen.
Did any neighbors?
There were no negative,
Nothing.
we received no
Nothing.
comments.
No comments. Okay.
No comments.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the variance.
Okay. Any second?
I'll say.
Okay. So any discussion? All right, let's have a vote.
Ms. Bluters,
Yes.
Mr. Tenight,
Yes.
Ms. Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Heidel. Yes. Mr. Schultz, yes. You're not voting.
Okay.
We'll have the resolution prepared for the next meeting.
Okay.
We're good to go at this point.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank-
guys
good.
so much.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Good
Hey, thank you.
presentation.
You know, we hated to turn it down, but you know, all the way out to the sidewalk is different than what you've come here. And the fact that you've got all these burning bushes. I'm looking at that picture.
I don't think my sons ever drove down that street, so I don't think they took out your burning bush.
You don't think it was-
I don't think it was neither son, but.
All right. Next is our next meeting and miscellaneous business.
Next meeting is proposed for Monday, June 20th at 6:30 PM. I did have a question. Is 6:30 still good for this board, or would we prefer earlier, later? Could we all do 6 o'clock moving forward?
Good with me.
Fine with me.
Can you make that? Okay, I know you're probably traveling the furthest.
I get home about 1:45, so I just come here.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Okay, if it's all right, we'll start scheduling these at 6, starting in June. Okay,
Okay.
we'll make a note of that.
All right.
Yep, aside from that, the summer edition of the newsletter came out. Hopefully it should have hit mailboxes already. If not, it's coming this week. But we do highlight a lot of new businesses that have opened up in the township this last year. The trustees just attended last week the ribbon cutting for Brusalis Bakery. So I've patroned there a few times there, probably more than I should. So I'll put a plug in for them to go check it out. Yeah, nice entrepreneurial
That's where
bakery.
Ruskin used to be?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, it's a European bakery, I guess is the best way to explain it. So very, very traditional pastries. But yeah, go check it out. So, the other thing I'll mention, since I was talking about it with Ms. Hughes before the meeting, is Happiness Way. We are waiting on, actually, I think the signal programming has been completed. I think it's flashing yellow right now, and I think it'll stay that way for a while. But we do plan on opening Happiness Way on I'll say a temporary basis for a traffic study starting by the end of the month. That'll probably be open at least for the rest of the year. And while we make some traffic counts and collect some data for a final decision on Happiness Way.
What would you do? Put a guardrail up at the end of it or something?
We'd have to talk about that. There was a proposal to kind of make a cul-de-sac or to just cut out some section and cut that off. I'd like to say we'd do something a little more aesthetically pleasing than just a guardrail.
Yeah.
But there are streets with guardrails, so we'd have to decide that at a later date too. Unless we have some very significant traffic counts going through that neighborhood and there's adverse impacts in that residential neighborhood, I'd expect it to stay open. So it would have to be, I think, significant on those residents. So before it gets closed again.
Do you have any business yet for next month?
We do not. There's been a couple people that have asked about the variance process, but I don't think we've received any applicants.
Because I, for one, am still looking for the training. Portion you talked
Yes, and there is actually a consultant I'm working with on that. There's another community that he's working with too. So we're trying to kind of line up our schedules. So I would definitely like to do it this summer.
Any further business?
That's all I have today.
All right, a motion to adjourn. We need one.
about. Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Mr. Luger.
Yes.
Mr. Tenight.
Yes.
Ms. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Heidel. Yes. Mr. Schultz. Yes.
We are adjourned.